Hello, once again. Just want to do an update for you. Did get the roof fixed. Furnace ended up, the fan ended up crapping out on me, so I had to get a new fan for the furnace. wasn't that hard of a fix. Just took a fan from a furnace I was already working on. The client wanted a new one anyway, so I just nothing wrong with that fan, so put that one on, and it seemed to work. And that's about it. The guy who did the roof did it under budget and ahead of schedule. He was very, very good. Uh, I, of course, hired local because I'm a big fan of hiring local guys. After all, they live here. It's their bread and butter. Why not? Did a very good job. Him and his guys came in here, no problem whatsoever. So don't have to worry about a leaky roof, and I don't have to worry about a busted furnace, which is good. The house stays warm, which is good. I just have to re-insulate the upstairs because I stripped a lot of that out because there was some wood that needed to be replaced because of the water damage, because I'm an idiot and didn't get on that. And it was leaking from the chimney itself, which is brick. It's not cement molding, it's actual old-fashioned brickwork. So I had to get a mason in there to deal with that. And the guy I hired, he was very, very good. And again, no issues, no complaints. Those guys knew their stuff. Hell of a lot more than I know, and they were able to get everything done without any issues. Another thing I'd like to talk about today is the idea of quality and quantity, and a few other things, but that's basically the primary one. I know nowadays a lot of things are a throwaway nation, like a throwaway consumerism economy, and I don't really. I For some things I can understand, but for other things I can't. Another thing I'd like to wonder about and ask about is, well, this is going to sound kind of on a personal note because of what's behind me, but vintage electronics. Uh, Maybe it's just me, but I don't recall vintage-based made electronics being all that popular. I thought that as modern technology improved, so did everything else. And the reason why I say what's behind me is because if you can see it, I got my old record player and my old amplifier because yes, I am that kind of guy. I do have some lovely stuff in my record collection. My one of my pride and joys being Meatloaf, Bat Out of Hell. One of my favorite. This is probably the third edition, or not third edition. This is the third copy that I own, and I still have the original artwork. Probably get censored for that, but whatever. Uh, yeah, he died recently, and in his memory, I've been getting drunk and playing his records because I have some of his records. Bat Out of Hell being my favorite one, but it's not the only one I have. And that's an original press. I bought that not new, obviously. I bought it at a used records place in the '90s, and they reconditioned the record, and they sold it for like $13 or something like that. It was ludicrously cheap. Yet, if I were to try to get that now, I mean, even before he died, it would probably cost me anywhere between $30 to $60. And to get one that was reprinted by I think it's Columbia Records. It says so right on it. I can actually correct myself here. Songs by Jim Steinman. Cleveland Records. Yeah, from CBS. So yeah, it's a CBS Inc. Production. Uh, to get that now, a re-edition, especially now that he's dead, you're looking at it now. I know that once the artist dies, it gets more expensive. It's just the way the market works. But I can't help but wonder why. I mean, the cost to make it, there shouldn't really be that high of a demand except for guys who like to collect them. And the reason why I say that is because I honestly didn't believe until recently that there were people who still used record players. I mean, the one I've got behind me here, this lovely little bastard over here, it's over 35 years old. The one I bought was built to last, and in order for it to work, I have to use a stereo integrated amplifier. It doesn't come with its own settings, ladies and gentlemen. It has to be directly connected into this bad boy. And then I have to connect it to speakers. Now, these are newer speakers. I bought these in 2020, I think. I bought them a couple of years ago. But, it's all connected. Without one of these things, you don't have the other. And the wiring on those speakers, because I cheaped out and I didn't get the good ones like I should have, because I'm an idiot. I'm using older style stuff that I picked up at a garage sale for $3. I mean, this amplifier I've had since I was 16. This is over, to date myself, this is over 25 years old. That record player wasn't mine to begin with. It was actually one of my uncle's. And when he died, I ended up getting it because my relatives didn't want it. And I ended up buying it off of them for about $100 at the time. And it wasn't new when I got it. And it's still running like there's no tomorrow. And it just amazes me that, I walked into Best Buy one day, I think it was a couple of years ago, and they were still selling record players with built-in amplifiers and speaker systems, a whole in one system. I'm behind the times. But I didn't think I was that behind the times. Not only that, I didn't think what was retro would be new again. I mean, I went to a CD place to pick up some CDs because yes, I'm old that way. I don't do digital distribution. I don't have an iPad. I don't download stuff on my phone. Phones are for communication, not for entertainment, in my opinion. And as a result, I got a boombox system that isn't very fancy. And CD, in your car kind of setup. And as a result, I went to go get some CDs to pick up some mainly the Anthem and Motorhead, because I was missing some from my Motorhead collection. I mean, I got it on vinyl, but I don't have it on CD, so I had to go pick up Ace of Spades, and I had to go pick up Inferno. And it just amazed me that there was an actual shelf dedicated to records, to old style vinyl records. And that blew my mind. I had to admit that floored me. Now, again, people are probably laughing when they hear this, but for me, that speaks volumes, really, to how retro certain things have gotten to that now they're popularized again. But not everything is built that way. Vehicles are my number one complaint and pet peeve, because I noticed that after 3 or 4 years of heavy driving, which is what I do with them, I max them out, so to speak, claiming over 100K a year, sometimes more, by driving back and forth to work every day. And what I've noticed is that after about 3 or 4 years, I can't keep them maintained enough to stay operational or safe on the road. And I got to get a replacement. Or when something breaks, like something big, like a transmission or even parts of an engine, it's not cost effective to fix them anymore. Used to be you could just tear them down, replace the piece, rebuild it, and you could get it done for half the price of a new engine. Now a new engine costs almost as much as stripping it down and getting it done, whether you do it yourself or whether you get a mechanic to do it. Rebuilds are becoming less and less common. Salvage is becoming less and less common, I've noticed. Just getting used parts, used pieces, like a fender or a bumper on certain models and certain vehicles is becoming harder and harder to get your hands on. And I never understood why. Maybe it's because the stigmatism behind scrappers and stuff like that, but I think that's horseshit, because at the end of the day, there's still a market. There's still a used parts market. You can go online right now and you can go to a used part emporium. So it ain't like these places don't exist. Pick Your Part is still profitable. It's just the local guys ain't as common anymore. It used to be, a guy give you a card every now and again, hey, you looking for something? Or, your local mechanic would know a guy. And that just doesn't happen as much anymore. And now with more and more electronics being put into a car, which is another pet peeve of mine, which goes to the consumerism thing, you almost can't fix them yourself. This whole right to repair and stuff like that comes up with agriculture equipment makes sense to me, because a $20 to $50 to $120,000 piece of equipment needs to last. John Deere Green was notorious for lasting. I know this because on our farm at my parents' place, it does. A lot of the older equipment that my dad runs, that I help operate, that I've operated since I was a kid, is John Deere Green. But it's so old that the only electronics on it are basically the gauges and the lights that come on. That's it. That's all there is. So you don't have to worry about the computer saying something and then all of a sudden that screws up your entire harvest. But nowadays, that's a legitimate concern with newer things. And it's the same with cars. And I think it started with cars, and it just moved to heavier equipment. And I don't understand why. There should be a way, or there should be an easier way for a mechanic or a guy themselves to basically figure all this electronic shit out without crapping out the vehicle, without forcing you to basically get a new thing that you really don't need. And that's the part that annoys me, because half the time it isn't that there's something mechanically wrong, it's just a sensor's gone, so it's lighting up like a Christmas tree, and you better get it fixed because it's going to annoy you if you don't. And then more importantly, what if it's a false positive that eventually leads to a positive? You get so used to that check engine light coming on in your car that when it does happen, and it's important when it happens, you ignore it, and then your engine blows up, or you lose oil pressure or something like that. And next thing you know, now you need a whole new car because it costs too much to fix. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but I find that to be incredibly annoying. and it leads me back to the used parts market thing. It used to be a pretty good market. It used to be something that people used all the time, and yet now people rarely do. And I don't really understand that, because it's a necessary thing. Salvage used to be a very necessary thing, and in my opinion, it still is. Because even with all the electronics and gizmos and all the other crap, at the end of the day, if someone, does a fender bender, it's not going to screw with your computer. But you still got that dent in the door. Unless you plan on digging a plunger or drilling holes in it, you often need to replace that piece of the door. And the cost of getting that done at a shop versus the cost of just getting that done from a scrapper is, apples to pineapples. It's a huge difference in comparison to cost savings. But anyway, what do I know? Maybe it's just modern thing. Maybe they expect people to have the money. I don't know. Anyway, this is February 26th. Floyd signing off. Have a good night. See you next time.